the total allowable catch right now is about 110,000 tonne. So you get different values in different countries and things like that. But now the lowest commodity, fish fingers. So let's take all our hake and turn the whole lot into fish fingers and create a whole lot of jobs and everything at the same time. And off we send it into the market. So we're going to get 120 rand a kilo. So you take 110 million kilos times 120 rand. What comes back to South Africa is less than 20% of that. And that's because of your Unilevers, your Tiger brands here, and the links, and also from the era of apartheid where you had to break sanctions to be able to get product out in the market. So they only ever brought back a little bit of money because the Boere needed the dollars to run around and justify the mess we all were in at that stage.
The fish don't belong to INJ. They don't belong to these Rothschilds. They're all bankers behind the damn things.
Yeah, that's true.
They belong to the people. Same with all the resources. Doesn't the gold belong to all the people? And I'm not just saying the people as South Africans. I'm saying, don't we on this planet deserve to take care of our guys in China, America? I mean, surely the concepts of this is a resource, which I don't like the resource, but nevertheless, I'd rather talk about something like gold. It's a resource, but it belongs to the planet. It doesn't belong to some banker who got his foot in the door and pays off a politician and now can run off with the whole damn thing.
This is what's happened, but I'm glad that you mentioned the gold, because this is what makes fishing so difficult, because we're dealing with natural resources, and so is gold and everything else. So what would apply to fishing would apply to mining and vice versa. So all of a sudden you're cruising along and you're getting somewhere and they're all listening, and then you get this whole pile of international science review and economic review, and you just wiped off your feet, and then it takes you a whole long time how to just realize what just happened to you. It takes a year or two in your journey. So the point is to actually try and eliminate this Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, that run the structure. And then I thought that I would appeal to greed, because greed is a great commodity to deal in. So hey man, you're only getting 3 rand a kilo. Why don't you give it to me? And then, but I wasn't going to get in it, but this was the arguments I'd put in. Why don't you give me, and I'll give you 10 rand a kilo, so then you can get 10 million rand, or go tell me 110, man, you know, or 20. What's wrong with you? But they feel so guilty about the bit that they're getting because they have no historical background. They're judges in the Constitutional Court. They're all ghastly. Masons. They shouldn't be having their money. So things don't change. And they would then go tell the president that the industry's transformed. So that's not working for me either.
So what happens to the thing as a result of this quota system? What happens to the resources?
So then the resource becomes a real problem. So just to take you one, to just show you a passage of decimation. So in those days the guys realized they're not going to get any rights here. This is after 1948. So they'll all run up to Namibia because they realize here's big resource here, and this is one of the most disgusting things that ever happened on our coastline. The United Nations tell South Africa to get the hell out of Namibia because they no longer recognize the mandate given them from the League of Nations in 1920, and they must go. So what do? They decide, well, we're just going to moor this resource. I'm glad you were here so you can just say it like it is. And they convert an old whaling tanker into a floating fish meal factory, 2 of them, and they park them out there. So on record they talk about in the 1 year in 1968 bringing 1,386,000 tonne. And as this fish comes in, your charcoal briquettes, the same dudes, they only doubled up and makes double scoop for them. They make the charcoal briquette, but they compress this fish meal. It was a revolutionary thing that they did, and then it got transshipped right at sea, then went there. So they say it was actually about 3 million tons that came out in 68 and 2 million in a couple of years. And they totally broke the biomass of this thing. So by 1970s, zoop, all these people had run to a desert to go and work, and they are now jobless. Why? Because there's no fish, because everybody was too greedy. And today in Namibia, the total quota is a disgusting 29,000 tons. And in 2002, they couldn't declare quota because there was no pilchard. Anyway, so I try and fight these guys on any possible opportunity. So I go and appeal to that creed. And what about a restitution claim against the beneficiaries of all this wealth, and maybe even the South African government, whoever? Somebody's get some attention here because it's carrying on. So, sorry, 68 they wipe out the pelagic. Simultaneously, the same company that got the biggest portion out of it get the lobster down at Ludritz, and they do 10,000 tons there. Today, Ludritz can only do about 200 tons of lobster. So they wipe that out. And then what really got my goat was a new fishery started in '94, Orange Ruffy, deep water, 800 down to 2,000 meters, high-tech fishing. And I actually knew the scientists and everything involved, and it all sounded pretty good. But it's a fish that it takes about 30 years to get this size. And once you hit it, you got to just take bits of it. You can't do what they did. So in the first year they took 5,000 tons. In the next year they took more and more, and eventually it went up, just like all these other graphs, 18,000 tons. The same company, the same families in all three of these things just wiped out our resources.
Rothschilds, Warburgs, Lazarus, Kahns, Cease, and I can
In South Africa, it's the Broederbond, it's the Neetling and Dupree families. And strangely, we're talking about farming yesterday. Lots of the money went from the profits of the fish went into the farm, as did the fish meal. In today's world, animals eat more fish than humans. So it went in there, and then the farms, and then you had Aunt Jay having tabletop vegetables in those days, and today McCain and all this kind of nonsense. And it was just a big conglomeration of wealth and stuff everybody that's trying to have a decent living. Those guys that were living in Veltrift all lost their nice cars and clothes and hobos. So it's a tragic issue, and it continues today.